I think the public would have voted differently if they'd seen the Principal Auditor's Report. We would have had a bigger majority because they would have seen that the early exit schemes that the GSD had created in 2011 are exactly as we said in 2011, not good value for money, and that the Principal Auditor in that respect is agreeing with the GSLP policy of 2011 and damning the GSD's policy of 2011. Indeed, that the overtime abuse that commenced, if you trace it back in the time of the GSD, was dealt with in the time of the GSLP, and that the allowance abuse, which started in the time of the GSD, was dealt with in the time of the GSLP. Yes, this looks back at 2016-17 and issues that we were dealing with then, and they are told in the language of an auditor as issues that have arisen. And I am telling you in the language of those in the executive who dealt with those issues, that those were issues that we identified, that we told the public about in respect of the early exit scheme and issues that we were dealing with. And so if only that report had been published before the general election, our majority would have been much bigger and we would not have had such a tight election.
Mr. Azopardi, the GSD's motion wasn't passed, or rather it was substantially amended and then passed. The delay in passing the supplementary bills was addressed during a 7-hour debate. The Principal Auditor's Report was unpicked and substantially debated, and the answer to a Public Accounts Committee is still a resounding no. So is it now time to move on from all of these issues?
Well, the answer to the Public Accounts Committee establishment is a resounding no from the government, but not from the GSD. So it's not going to be an issue on which we are going to move on. It's party policy, and it will be our policy. If the government are not prepared to deliver it, we will in government, if we're elected to government at the next election. The reality, there were two pillars of our motion presented by Roy Clinton. The first was to criticise the politically engineered delays to the supplementary appropriation bills that was stopping the publication and conclusion of the Principal Auditor's Report. And we argued very strongly that there have been politically engineered delays, and indeed there have been, because those delays have affected the issue of those reports, and that's why they haven't emerged before the last general election. And the other part was, of course, to argue strongly for the need for a Public Accounts Committee. If people perhaps didn't understand the argument for a Public Accounts Committee, after the publication of the 900-page Principal Auditor's Report with the litany of criticisms of things that have happened 6 years ago, and knowing that we don't know what has happened over the last 4 years because the Principal Auditor has been delayed deliberately from concluding his work, then I think people understand the argument for a complementary Public Accounts Committee that on a more timely basis can look and scrutinise the government.